morning, everyone. So my name is Dana Carey. I'm the emergency manager for Yolo County, the county you're sitting in. And on behalf of the county of Yolo, the city of Woodland, and the Woodland Opera House, we'd like to welcome you here. We're very happy that we could do this to help out. Thank you.
All right, good morning everybody and welcome. My name is Ron Quigley. I'm the regional administrator for the inland region of the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, which encompasses the northern counties to include Butte County. So thank you for being here under the circumstances. You know, it's standing up here, I can't sit here and I can't say I understand. I can't say that I know what you're going through. The one thing I can tell you is, over the last 5 years, my team, and in coordination with many of the federal organizations and many local organizations, have had to do a lot of this. We've had to stand before communities as we stand before you today, and have conversations about how we best support you as a community, as a county, as cities, and as citizens. Today what we've done is we've brought forward many different organizations to talk to you about the different work that's going on in support of the county, our communities of Butte, and that will ultimately be passed on to you as citizens of the community and fire survivors. So there's been a lot of great work going on. Many organizations that have come forth in support of Butte County and the residents. As we talk today, you're going to find that there's many different programs that are going to be going on, many of them simultaneously, and there's many different programs that are available to the fire survivors. And we feel it's very important, which is why we're here in Yolo County. We recognize that we have fire survivors and those that have been displaced and evacuated in multiple different counties. I think we can all look at this situation, and I know we certainly do as state and federal organizations, as unprecedented. We got multiple different evacuees and survivors in several different counties and even in different states. So we are wanting to bring the resources and the information to you. So today, we have many speakers that are going to present some very good information on many different topics. And at the end, we're going to have an opportunity for you to work your way around the room. We'll have different representatives from the organizations available to you to do some questions and answers and let you know how you can get registered and set up with some of the services that are being offered. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored to be here on behalf of the state to help support you. So with that said, we'll go ahead and we'll move on. And I would like to start by calling up Brian Ring, the Assistant CAO with Butte County.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Ring. I'm the Assistant Chief Administrative Officer for Butte County, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here today. Thank you all for coming. I know we have, our community's been through a lot the past few years. This certainly takes the cake, I would say. And we appreciate you folks coming today. My goal today is hopefully to provide you some information on where to continue to stay updated and get information, but also to provide some details on what the county is doing in coordination with a number of folks. I have to say that we've been working closely with our Cal OES partners, our FEMA partners. The county's working very closely with representatives from the town of Paradise, Chico, Oroville, Gridley. It really is a unified effort from everybody involved here to try to get through this disaster. Some questions that I get a lot are, what's the status on reentry or repopulation? And I just want to stress that the sheriff is working very diligently in coordination, again, with a number of folks. The debris up there, from the power lines, the power poles, to the potential trees, getting utilities, getting services up and running. It's a coordinated effort. They're meeting twice a day right now to try to get folks up to at least to re-enter the property. So I can assure you that the sheriff is working diligently on that. Wants to make sure it's safe before folks go back into those areas before. The last thing we want to know, and we have obviously this recent events this week with the rain. It's a constant juggling act. I can assure you the sheriff does want to get folks back up there as quickly as possible. As far as staying informed, I can't stress enough, I think getting registered, we did roll out ButteCountyRecovers.org, a website. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. It is getting more and more information on it on a daily basis. You can sign up on that website to get updates and to stay informed on all the issues that the county is working on. Another great resource for information, there's going to be press conferences every Monday and Wednesday at this point in time at 6 p.m. Those are going to be televised, so that's a great area to get more information. We do have the Disaster Recovery Center set up, and I know that is in Chico. I know that's not obviously down here. But that's a great one-stop shop where you can get all sorts of information, all sorts of resources from there. For example, if you wish to find out information on property tax waivers, forgiveness, if you need copies of your property documents, they can get that information for you there. So I really encourage folks, if you have the opportunity, I know it's a drive, to go to that DRC, that center. It's open 7 days a week right now. Tremendous amount of resources there. As far as what the county has been doing, I think it's important to stress, and I can't say it enough, it's a unified effort with the county, Paradise, Chico, Gridley, Oroville. There's been a number of divisions, work groups that are working on a variety of issues. Many of them, we still have 500 plus folks in shelters right now. We have 1,400 animals in shelters that are being taken care of every day. We're working on a lot of issues, trying to push information out through our PIO or our Joint Information Center. We're trying to keep the public informed on all the issues that are going on. We also have a recovery center, a mass casualty recovery center. It's going to be opening up here in the next day or so, where folks who have actually lost loved ones can go to as a resource center to say, what are the next steps? What resources are available? We've been working very hard. It is such a tragic thing. We've had just an overwhelming amount of donations and support from across the country. We're really coordinating to try to get the donation management system in place so people can provide resources to all the folks that need the resources, and they can be distributed to those who need them in a more organized and orderly fashion. So that's one of our groups that we're working on. Obviously, housing is a big deal. We have a group working on housing, trying to identify spots that are potential locations for more temporary housing for the next 12, 18 months, while people really decide, what's going to happen with my rebuilding process. Beyond that, there's obviously a lot of work on watershed management issues. We're in the rainy season, so we have a task force, a team that's working on watershed issues. Debris management, I believe we're going to have a speaker talk a little bit more about debris management today, but I would expect more information to come out in the next week, early next week, on the whole debris removal process, because there's a lot to that. We have a group that's working in business recovery. We understand there's a lot of businesses up there that obviously lost their property. We also understand there's a lot of businesses up there that are still up there. So we have a business recovery team working on opportunities and ideas on what are the next steps to help with the economy up in Paradise. And we also have a team that's working on infrastructure issues, trying to identify what are the core issues from a county, town perspective. What do we need to do to get this basic infrastructure set up in place? So I'm hoping this is stressing. There's a lot of teams, there's a lot of work going on right now, and I know obviously for you folks down here in Woodland, it might not be as readily available, but please sign up on the website, watch the press conferences, and we certainly, if there's any other suggestions, I'm here today as representing the county, and I'm working with, again, representatives from Paradise and Chico and Oroville and really directly on the recovery efforts. So if you have any information you'd like to share with me, ideas, suggestions, if there's information that's missing, please touch base with me. We'll get it through our public information center, and we want to make sure that you folks are all getting information and the resources that you need. Thank you.
When will these, how will these press conferences be made available? How do we find them?
They are Monday and Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and I know they are, they're televised on the, I'm not sure, have they been televised down here? I know they're available online. I'll make sure we get information down here on how to get that access to those press conferences online.
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
Is there a way we can contact the team that's researching housing?
I'm happy to talk to you about that. We can talk one-on-one?
Yeah.
You bet. And I'll be available for questions too.
Okay, thank you very much. And I understand everybody's going to have a lot of questions with some of the speakers up here. You'll have questions that you have. I would just ask that if we can hold questions till the end, we will take some time to be able to do some question and answer. So if you could just write down any questions you may have during these presentations, we'll be happy to address them following the presentations. So thank you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Town of Paradise and their Public Information Officer, Brandon McCarr.
A little shorter than everyone else. Good morning, and first of all, thank you very much for attending. These meetings are incredibly important for us to ensure that you guys have all the information that you need going forward. My name is Brandon Vaccaro, and I'm a Public Information Officer representing the Town of Paradise. One of the good things that occurs when we have incidents like this is that we all come together, and you'll find that you have people all from around throughout California, like myself, and people from around the country that have come to help and ensure that you folks have everything that you possibly need. Let me give a brief update this morning. But first, I'd like to cover two things. As you see today, there'll be many different organizations that come up and speak. The county, the town, the whoever. Keep in mind that we are all one, and we are all working together. We have a joint operations center. Everybody is represented there. We have a joint information center. Everybody is represented there. So please don't think that because you see all these different organizations that we're all kind of fractured. We are all together. We all work seamlessly together, just as we have in Redding, in Santa Barbara, in Ventura, and at disasters throughout the country in the past. The rain obviously created some very significant challenges. That was evident as all the emergency alerts went out. One of our concerns is that the rain would make the situation somewhat worse as far as getting everything done that we need to do to make the community safe so that we can begin lifting evacuations. It definitely created some additional challenges for us. However, it wasn't anything that we can't overcome, and we believe that our cooperators with the utility companies, the water company, Public Works, can overcome those challenges and keep us online so that we can hopefully meet your expectations of beginning to lift evacuations early to mid next week. The sheriff had mentioned that earlier this week. Our police chief, Eric Reinbold, also mentioned that last week. That is our goal. We know that we need to get people back in there. Your safety is our primary concern. We cannot let people back into areas where they're potentially going to get electrocuted or have issues with trees falling on them. And that is a significant challenge that we're facing now. Some of the issues that we have up there are culverts. Okay, culverts were damaged by the fire. Anywhere that a culvert or a tube that runs under the road has been damaged, you have the potential of the road collapsing. Obviously, road collapse is going to create opportunities for vehicle accidents. We have very heavy vehicles that are up there right now doing utility work. So we need to make sure that the culverts have all been repaired appropriately so that people can drive safely throughout the community. Utilities, obviously, another challenge. Utilities damaged by the fire. The electrical work is being done by PG&E and partners from around the country. They are doing an excellent job of removing all the damaged poles, damaged infrastructure, including the wiring, and rewiring where necessary. The irrigation district is working very hard on their water side of things. From what I've been told, things look pretty decent. The system did really well throughout the fire, and although there's a lot of work to do, the base of their infrastructure is still in place. That gets us to trees. Trees are a huge, huge, huge issue. One, because of the repercussions if they fall. If they fall, they will undoubtedly critically injure anybody that they hit, and they can fall a great distance from where they stand and still strike someone. The town of Paradise has contracted through FEMA and OES with our partners, arborists and tree cutters to go up and remove the damaged trees. Those trees need to be marked. First, they need to be located, they need to be marked, and then they need to be cut down and removed. A damaged tree from the fire is going to look fairly normal to you from the outside. However, the inside of the tree has burned, and the tree is extremely weak. As the ground gets moist, as the winds come up, we have the potential of those trees simply just blowing over. We've had multiple firefighters in California killed this year by that very same instance. This is something that we need to ensure is safe before we allow people back into the community. We want to ensure, again, that we get the evacuations lifted. As the CAO spoke about, we meet twice a day, every day, to ensure that we're all on the same page and that your expectations, our expectations, are being met by the cooperators, the utility companies, the tree trimmers, and whoever else is involved in repairing the community so that it's safe enough for you to return. And those meetings will continue to go on at least until we get the entire town repopulated and people back into all of their areas. The town of Paradise will rebuild. They will rebuild with the assistance of you and certainly the assistance of all of our partners from OES, FEMA, and people that bring support to the community. It's going to be a process. There is no doubt about that, as you all know. However, they will be here for the long haul, and the town will be there to support you throughout all of that. Currently, we are looking at occupying Town Hall in Paradise and functioning from there by the first of the year. In regards to the town of Paradise and all the information being put out by the organizations, you have the ability to go to our website, either Butte County Recovers or paradiserecovers.org. There you can find all the current and up-to-date information, news releases, things of that nature, anything that's going on, we post there. For Town of Paradise folks, you can also go to the Facebook, Town of Paradise Facebook or Twitter. We are updating Nextdoor, the Nextdoor app if you have that as well. We're dealing with TV and radio media to ensure that they have all the updated information. And again, we're kind of at their will. We invite them, we try and provide them with as much information as possible. One thing to keep in mind is that people have evacuated throughout Northern California, which means that they've traveled to what we call different media markets. So if I do an interview with a Chico TV station and you're in Woodland, you may not see that interview. So please know that we are trying to reach everybody. We know that people have traveled a great distance to other communities, other states, and we're trying to reach all of those people in every way possible to ensure that they have the most current and up-to-date information. If you need additional information that you're not seeing, we do have call centers active. That situation is somewhat fluid. There are multiple numbers listed on the websites, and I would urge you to go to those to get the most current and correct numbers for the call centers. That information will be listed on there and give you the opportunity to call and speak with somebody live who will hopefully be able to answer your questions or at least point you in the right direction. Again, thank you very much for attending the meeting. I will be available to answer questions afterwards. There is also another PIO from Paradise, Mariah. She'll be at the back of the room to answer your questions as well. Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to talk about the subject of debris and debris removal. As you guys are aware, the loss of structures on this incident was exceptional. It was a tremendous amount of structures lost, which means that the debris removal for this incident is going to be fairly substantial. Recognizing this very early, the county worked with the state to request bringing in a debris removal program want to assist and support the county with the considerable effort. So the state has approved the support of a debris removal program that will be led by Cal Recycle, which is a sister program, state program, to help support in that effort. What I'd like to do right now is I'd like to bring up our debris removal specialist, Elise Arata, to speak a little bit in specifics about the program. So, Elise.
Thank you. Hi, as Ron said, my name is Elise Arata with the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, also known as CAVOES. The program that we're rolling out. I'm sorry. Oh, closer. Do you want me to start over? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. The program that Ron spoke about rolling out is called the Consolidated Debris Removal Program. It happens in 2 phases. The first phase is a household hazardous waste removal. These are things like batteries, propane tanks, paint cans, asbestos. And that is happening with crews from the Department of Toxic Substance Control, also known as DTSC, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. So you'll see US EPA out there as well. This is happening, it's starting this week under the proclamation of local health emergency. And then phase 2 is where we need your assistance. We'll roll that out with what's called a right of entry permit. So you'll hear the term ROE very often. This ROE is a permit that allows us and our contractors and all government entities to step onto your property and take care of all those contaminants and then eventually return you back a cleared lot for rebuilding. For phase 2, we're going to bring several crews into the area, and by me I mean Cal Recycle, Cal OES. They will hire a prime contractor who will sub out the rest of the work, and they'll do site assessments, they'll remove structural debris, and they're going to be soil sampling under those areas to ensure that you have a cleared lot that's safe for you, for your children to return to and to rebuild on. More specifics can be found on the ButteCountyRecovers.org. You'll find frequently asked questions on there, some more information and on the process, and this ROE permit that I spoke about, it's in the final phases right now so that we can get that out to you and answer any questions regarding that document. And then it's up to you just to decide whether to enroll in our program with that right of entry or choose to opt out and clean with your own hired contractor, but to the same standards that we require for our program. There will be additional public meetings very specific to debris. So this was just an overview. There will be several other communications regarding debris, and I'm here to answer questions after this. Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to call up from the Department of Insurance, Tony Signorelli. Hopefully I said that right, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I just want to give you a few tips to start out. Every claim is going to be a little bit different. Insurance is pretty complex, but I just want to kind of touch on some issues, and we're happy to answer questions afterwards. And we'll be here for weeks and whatever it takes for answering questions. First, file your claim. Most people have already done that. We've set up an insurance village in Chico, nearby the local assistance center. So if you can make your way up there, otherwise you can go online, depending on who your insurance company is, or make a phone call or contact your agent. File your claim so you can make sure that you're getting all the benefits that you deserve from the premiums that you pay. Secondly, get a copy of your entire insurance policy. That is really your blueprint of all the coverages that you have, the coverage amounts that you have, and you'll need that to be able to understand when the adjuster's telling you one thing, to be able to verify that you're getting all the coverages and benefits that you pay Next, start a claim diary. So that's really important. You're going to be talking to a lot of people, a lot of different adjusters, a lot of different representatives from insurance companies and outside people. Starting today, get a spiral notebook or some notebook, start a claim diary, document all your phone calls, all of your agreements with your insurance company, and all of your disagreements with your insurance company, so that you have a good record of it. And that will be helpful in a number of different ways. For future, for example, if you need to file a complaint with the Department of Insurance, with us, we'll have a good record to go by to be able to intercede and perhaps get a good resolution for you with your insurance company. Commissioner Jones issued a notice a week or so ago to all the insurance companies to request that they offer advance monies to you. And that includes 25% of your contents loss, 4 months of additional living expense coverage as a starting point to get immediate funds into your hands so that you can use them for getting lodging and shelter and other necessities that you need. And then that's for people that had a total loss. If you didn't have a total loss, there's differences to that. But so I encourage you to get with your company, ensure that you're getting at least that. If you're not, either contact us by phone, online, or at the local assistance center where we can intercede on your behalf. There was also, in prior fires, just so you know, the commissioner did make requests for insurance companies to pay even more than that. For example, to pay 75% of your contents loss if you have a total loss without having to complete a burdensome inventory. Now that is a request that's gone out. It's not a demand because the insurance doesn't have the authority granted by the legislature to demand that insurance companies pay that without you completing an inventory. But most companies have increased their offering from the 25% initially to anywhere from 30 to 50 to 75, and there's even some insurance companies that are paying 100% without an inventory. Check with your insurance company as to how much they will pay, and if you think there's an issue there, please contact us. And manage your additional living expense coverage. Most of you will have a limit, 50,000, 100,000, whatever that number is, and this is a long process. So I know in the front end, you're going to be expending more money for either expensive hotels and other things and emergency issues, but try to manage that to make it last as long as possible so that you can, towards the end, you still will have some money that you won't exhaust your limits. When you start to rebuild, considering rebuilding, if you are going to rebuild, work only with licensed contractors. Make sure they are licensed and insured. You can contact the Contractor State License Board. There's information at the local assistance center. They have a table set up. And you can also go to their website to verify a license status of a contractor. In addition, there's what's called a public adjuster. There's public adjusters that you can hire to help you with your claim against the insurance company. They can be useful, but I would encourage you to try to settle your claim first with your insurance company, because they do charge a significant commission, and that comes out of your insurance coverage. So if you have a total loss, you're probably going to get close to your policy limits without having the need to hire a public adjuster who will take anywhere from 10 or 15% or more of those insurance benefits. And so I just encourage you to take a careful look as to what your particular needs are. You can decide after you've exhausted all your efforts with your insurance company and think you deserve more, then contact a public adjuster, in which case they would only get a commission from the additional amounts that they get you rather than the full amount of your coverages, which you're able to get on your own anyways. There's a law that we were able to pass a few years ago, and we clarified it again this year with the legislature, that if you have a total loss, you have the ability to rebuild on your current location to get full replacement cost coverage, which includes any extended coverages and your building code upgrade coverage, for example, all your benefits, if you rebuild on the current lot. But you also get those same benefits if you rebuild on another lot in another location, or if you purchase a new home in another location. And so if you're being told something different by your insurance adjuster, please let us know so that we can intercede on your behalf. Lastly, I really encourage you to either bring your insurance information and sit with our teams at the different local assistance centers and disaster recovery centers. They can go over your particular issues with you. I also encourage you to contact us at our 800 number, and I'll leave some cards here, so for later you can have a card with our 800 number on it, or go online. We have a lot of wildfire resources there that'll give you some more information on this. And that's it. We'll be here for questions. Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to welcome up from FEMA Individual Assistance, Ryan Burris.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Burris. I'm the Housing Task Force lead as of yesterday. Tony Raines just got deployed back to Anchorage because of the earthquake. I had been here last year. I was here for 6 months doing the same mission for surrounding counties. I have Michelle Gonzalez with me from the Individual Assistance Program, so she can go over all the individual assistance programs that we currently have. For instance, rental assistance, kind of go over the current housing mission. I would like to say, on the Housing Task Force, it sounds like a big word, but it's not. We have a huge collaboration with all federal and state agencies. We meet daily. Butte County has a Housing Task Force. In Butte County, we have members from the state and FEMA embedded in that task force. Our job as that collaborative effort is to make sure that we look at every resource, every possible option, vet those, and if it's a green light, move as fast as we can. We have contractors in place on the direct housing side to move trailers, manufactured homes in. We have units ready available. The units are not the issue in this particular event. Normally when we have a direct housing program, it's flood related. You can quickly get into someone's private home lot and we can put something there. With fire, you have to wait for debris, you have to wait for the infrastructure. So just to set some expectations, you're not going to see a load of installations come tomorrow. We are actively looking at several sites. I think within the next week we'll have working with the county and our federal partners over at GSA will be able to announce some locations where we're going to be putting units in. So that's progress we have. There's a lot of people, just like you all, displaced all around California, even I believe there's people staying in Texas. I personally know what that's like. I actually lived through Katrina, so my lens is to get everyone back home as quick as possible. We are leasing in one family today in a neighboring county of Mendocino. They were displaced there. We had some empty lots that we used for the Mendocino fire in 2017, and we're going to be leasing in 3 other families that are in Mendocino right now, and they are choosing to stay in that particular campground and the travel trailers that we have over there. Hopefully, we'll have those news here in Butte County, here near Paradise. That's our role here. To get on the call list, you have to do nothing except register for FEMA. We have, once you register for FEMA, all those answers based off your damage, we actually call you. We've called over 1,000 people so far. I believe there's 2,000 people in the queue. There's still 4,000 homes that are inaccessible, so until we go evaluate those homes, there'll be more people in that call list. We do not know how many of you or how many people of this fire we're going to have to house through the direct housing mission, but whatever that number is, we will meet it. There's a lot of other programs though. I know SBA is going to be speaking here soon. Katrina Palomar from the state's going to be speaking soon, and she's my co-partner in the task force. But first, let me turn it over to Michelle Gonzalez just to go over the individual assistance program in general. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. It is my intent, while I am here, to provide you a little bit more information and answer questions when the time comes of some concerns or inquiries that you might have. Okay? Individual assistance, which is the word that we like to use and we hear a lot, it falls under one of the categories under the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and it does exactly what it says. Okay? We provide assistance to individuals, disaster survivors, people like yourself, like myself, and many others that have suffered some sort of losses due to some sort of disaster. Now, What do we do to be able to be eligible? What do I do to be able to receive assistance? The first thing that we have to do is register. We do have to complete our registration. And there's many ways of doing that registration. We have the FEMA.gov on the internet. You have a mobile app now that you can actually do it from your phone. Okay? We also have the 1-800 number that is 24/7, meaning works all day, every day, 24 hours. We also have our DSA teams. We have our DRCs, the disaster. And let me backtrack, and I apologize. We use a lot of acronyms, and that is not right. So DSA is Disaster Survivor Assistance. Okay? This is a team that actually goes out and helps and assists your needs as required. DRCs, what we call our disaster recovery centers. These are those centers that are open where you go face to face, and they're open and set up in different areas due to the needs and the impact. And that is all decided within the state, local, and other federal decisions at that time. And there's information of where these centers are open. We also have, like I said, the mobile, FEMA.gov, the 800 number. You have DSA, you have DRCs. And there's also a the one-to-one, one-on-one. Yes, sir.
Could you give us the 800 number?
Definitely. It is 1-800-321-6632. Again, of course, you're welcome. It is, oh, I'm sorry. 1-800-621-6632. 3362, okay. Sorry, I apologize. Let's do it one more time than the last time, I promise. 1-800-621-3362. Now, if I don't look at the page, I get it right. I apologize for that. You're more than welcome. Like I said, these 800 numbers are open 24/7. Okay? Please call them. And they are in every language, and any language that's needed. You actually use translation line as needed. Okay? Now, we registered. As per the information that is supplied when you're registering, they're going to request your name, social security number, and other factors, addresses, income, some information that they need to be able to fill out this registration. Okay? Referrals will be order determined to which programs a person will be referred to, and I'll explain. If I only have damages to personal property, like some transportation or medical or dental or funeral, that have no damages to my home, this is an example, I will then be referred to what we call the other needs of assistance. I don't want to confuse you guys. I'm just saying that the system will order determine, okay, and refer you to the program depending on the information that you provide. Okay? So, after you register, you will be eligible, you will be determined to go to which program you're going to be referred to. Then you will receive a notification from FEMA letting you know where we will refer to and what is needed, if anything is needed, from you to continue in the process. For example, if you have insurance, okay, and the majority of us have insurance, you'll be required to submit insurance documentations. If you were referred to the Small Business Administration, what we call SBA, and we'll have a co-partner here talking about this a little bit later, you will then be required to fill out that application and submit it to be able to move forward within FEMA. Okay? It takes you step by step. Okay? We do know that we have the direct housing at this moment working at this disaster 4407 here in California. But we also have other programs on the housing. We have rental assistance, meaning if your home was damaged and you cannot live there, it is uninhabitable. FEMA would help you if you are eligible to be in another place that is habitable. Okay? And if you could be there up to 18 months and or specifics at that time. It all depends on your eligibility and the criteria. Okay? Rental assistance, FEMA could help you to pay rental assistance. We also help you pay to repair your home or replace your home if there is any replacement that is available. We also have the permanent housing construction program when it's up and running, meaning these are different programs that actually fall and run under the housing component of FEMA. So FEMA is not only here to say, okay, we're gonna cut your check to give you assistance, and here you go. No, there's many components, and this is what we want you guys to know, okay? I want you to understand that there's many, many programs where if you don't fit in one, you might be able to fit in another, and if you don't fit in any, there's always other agencies that will help us. For example, when a disaster begins, we always count and help at the help of our voluntary agencies. That is at the beginning of a disaster. Before we're up and running, voluntary agencies are always there to come and help us, to lend a hand, okay? After we have the voluntary agencies, then of course, our insurance is going to fall in place because we need to be able to provide information. If I am insured, what is my insurance going to provide me? Is there anything that FEMA could help me with if I am insured? Maybe. If you are underinsured, you might receive assistance. Maybe your insurance covers it all. If it covers it all, we might be able to help you in another different assistance as needed. Okay? And all of that is explained on a one-on-one on the letters and all the notifications that you receive. We also have the non-SBA dependent programs. When I say non-dependent SBA, and I don't want to confuse you. Remember when I said a couple of minutes ago, you register, you're going to be order determined, referred to program, right? If you are referred to SBA, Small Business Administration, and you do not fill out that registration, you won't be able to receive a grant or assistance for other needs, meaning personal property, and we'll go into that in a minute, if it is required for you to fill out that registration. Again, I'm not going to go into depth with SBA. We have our co-partner here to do that. However, other than housing and other owner needs, other needs and assistance owner, we could provide assistance, like I said, for medical, dental, funeral, transportation, unmet needs. Unmet needs is nothing that I have mentioned here that you might say, well, I have a need for this, but you haven't mentioned it. That might be an unmet need. Maybe FEMA gives you an assistance or up to a certain amount, and you still need additional assistance. That would be an unmet need. FEMA can also go in and try to see how is it that we can help you with that, okay? If we look at the process or the progress of how FEMA has been doing so far, to date, this morning, before we came this way, we have a total of 20,000 registrations, a little bit more, I'm just rounding up the numbers, 20,000 registrations. We have, within those registrations, we have roughly a little bit more of 4,000 renters that have applied, and we have more than $30 million that have gone out to assistance. What am I saying with this? We are here to assist. The assistance is here, it's available. If you qualify, depending on eligibility criteria, of course, if you qualify, please contact us if you have any questions. When I say contact us is, like I said, you have DSA, you have DRCs, you have the 800 number. And if you do apply and you receive a notification saying, sorry, you were not eligible, you do have the right to appeal. Okay, I want you to know this. You have a right to appeal. And if after you appeal, another negative resolution comes out, you could appeal that one as well. Okay? Meaning, you could always appeal up to get to the point that they will tell you there is actually nothing that we can do, or let me try to see if we could try to help you with our voluntary agencies or our unmet needs strike team. Okay? We good? Thank you.
I'll be very brief. She gave a very detailed. I'm George Jackson. I'm the DRC manager at Chico. I do want to emphasize that we have about 250 some odd volunteer, state, county, federal folks that are there. It is a one-stop shopping center for disaster assistance. So if you haven't been there, please avail yourself because certainly got everything that probably can answer any question you want. She mentioned a couple of things. Certainly we want you to register. The sequence is it's insurance, then SBA, and then I also want to address, if you get a denial letter, I've been trying for 11 years to get them to change that, you have been denied. If you keep reading, normally it's going to say because we need some additional information. A lot of people get that denial letter and then they just kind of throw it away. But don't do that. Come see us and we'll work out getting everything in. If you are contacted by SBA, certainly we want you to continue that process. If SBA determines that you're not eligible for a loan, then it comes back to FEMA for possible assistance. Like I said, we've got the Department of Motor Vehicles there, anything that you could want. So please avail yourself of the Disaster Recovery Center there. It's the old Sears building, if you're not familiar with it, in Chico. All right? And I'll be here for questions if you have any after the meeting.
All right, next I'd like to call up Garth McDonald, PIO for the SBA program. Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Garth McDonald. I am an employee of the Small Business Administration, so the U.S. Small Business Administration. Many of you may have heard of the SBA, I'm sure you have. What I'd like to tell you is just kind of forget what you may have thought or heard about the SBA, because I work for the Office of Disaster Assistance. It's a subset of the SBA, and so we're specifically here and we work hand in hand with FEMA to help not only businesses of all sizes and private nonprofit organizations, but homeowners and renters with disaster assistance to try to get as close to pre-disaster condition as possible. So our assistance is in the form of low-interest direct federal loans for homeowners and renters on this disaster, as low as 2% fixed rate, up to a 30-year term with a payment that hopefully can fit within your budget. We help businesses of all sizes to repair and replace physical losses, and that can be up to $2 million at an interest rate as low as 3.74 fixed rate. And nonprofits, the interest rate is 2.75. Small businesses and most nonprofit organizations can also borrow what we call economic injury disaster loans, or in effect, basically some working capital funds to help them get through the recovery period, pay some fixed costs and things like that while they're waiting to reestablish their business and rebuild. So it's a combination of physical damage and economic injury funds to help the business hopefully come back to its pre-disaster condition. Those funds help them get through the recovery period. They take us on any of our loans, as whether it's homeowners, renters, businesses, there's no cost to apply, there's no obligation to take any funds or more than you want. You are in complete control of how much you borrow, and we can loan for homeowners up to $200,000 to repair and replace their primary residence. For homeowners and renters, up to $40,000 for personal property and contents. Excuse me. It can include an automobiles that were lost and not covered. So anything that's underinsured or uninsured, we can loan for. And our goal is, as I mentioned, to get you as close to pre-disaster condition as possible. I do want to say I'm very sorry what all of you are going through here. The catastrophic fire here is just unprecedented, and I know there's a lot of things that no money can replace, but we do want to try to help you start working forward in your recovery. So I'm going to make it very brief. We have a flyer here, and I have a teammate, Chelsea Irvine, that's here with me, and we can answer your individual questions. So you don't have to write anything down, but all the contact information, you can apply right online with us if you have that capability. Of course, we're at the Disaster Recovery Centers, one in Chico and one in Oroville, and we can help you walk through the process step by step. And if you have any questions, there's a toll-free number. When you're ready, if you're able to get up to the centers and you want to make sure you know the hours, our phone number, our people can tell you that. Once you're in the system, we can look up your application and let you know what steps and status you're in, who is currently in charge of your file. So please, one key thing both FEMA and SBA need to make sure you do is, because you're displaced here and you may move a few times while you're going through this recovery, make sure you let both FEMA and SBA know where you can actually get mail, where your, maybe not where your home is up in the Ridge area, but where you're getting mail today, and let us know if that changes, and keep us apprised of any phone number changes so we can continue to work through this with you. The mention of getting, Michelle and George sort of mentioned the federal services and the sequence of delivery of these services. So it is crucial, even though you think you can't afford a loan, you don't want a loan, nobody wants to have to take on debt because they're hit by a disaster. That's obvious, and regretfully, there's no money that is able to come in and just fix everything for everyone in the form of grants. FEMA has very specific things they can give you grants for. Some, they'll get you housing potentially, and other grants that aren't, as it was mentioned, not dependent upon SBA. But some of the other grants for certain personal property, you do need to go through your SBA application, either online or in face-to-face. You can call and have a paper application sent to you. When you go through that process, we're going to evaluate your debts and your income and your living expenses, and then if we decide we can't offer you a loan because it's not going to help if you have lack of repayment ability or some other credit issues, most homeowners and renters are then referred back to FEMA to be looked at for additional grants. So that's why it's really important to go from the registration step with FEMA and then fill out the application with us. We may, if we look at the information that you submit and we determine that it appears you definitely can't take on a loan, we might send you a decline letter immediately, automatically through the system to expedite you to get all the federal help possible. You can also, if we have some wrong information as far as income and household size or debts, you can ask for reconsideration of your loan application. You control the time frame that you have. If you submit the basic application and you don't go through the process completely, or you do get declined, then you have another 6 months to ask for reconsideration. So we will take some questions after this, and we'll be available to hand out these flyers. There's some on the table out front in the lobby. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. And next, you all keep hearing about this disaster recovery center. And I know we've been talking not very specifically about what that is. We're going to have somebody come up right now and explain the services that exist within that center in specifics, and obviously encourage everybody, to get out and, if at all possible, and take advantage of these. So I'm going to call up Katrina Palomar with Cal OES.
Hi, Katrina Palomar. I work for Cal OES in the Individual Assistance Division, and I'm here supporting the local government and working with our federal partners too. And one of the things I did want to mention for the state of California, when the FEMA disaster individual assistance comes into play like this one here, if you max out, you apply for FEMA. We always encourage you to apply for FEMA, and if you max out with their 34.9, there's a potential that you will get additional funding from the state of California.
Do you have a $500 payment?
No. 34,900 is the FEMA max. 34.4. I apologize. It's not my program. But for the state, if you max out on the 34.4, you can get additional $10,000, and it's not a separate application. Our federal partners work with our state, and our state social services, and so you will automatically get an up to possibly 10,000, so we did want to mention that. Also, we wanted to bring up, yes, there's 2 disaster recovery centers for Butte County. There's one in Chico and there's one in Oroville, and as mentioned, there's quite a few agencies there, and there's a flyer that gives real detail about the different private, county, state, and federal partners that we have there. You know, and for me, I specifically wanted to let you know that, you know, the governor in this disaster did an executive order to waive special fees and filing extensions. And you guys are here in Woodland, and so I want you to be aware that there's also a brochure there in the front when you walk in. And there's websites and there are phone numbers where you can call if you can't get to the Disaster Recovery Center. So what the governor did do, though, is some of these fees that he waived were for Department of Motor Vehicles. You do need to let them all know that you are part of this event and that your homes have been affected. And Department of Motor Vehicles, they're doing free driver's license, titles, registrations, anything that you may need. They're waiving those fees. Franchise Tax Board, they also are waiving any fees if you need your old tax documents, and also there's waivers in place there too, and some special allowances that you really want to look into when it comes to filing taxes. There's also vital records. So we have Department of Public Health in the centers, and so any birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, they're able to assist you in replacing those with the fees waived. We also want to bring up that, you know, I don't know really how much for the FEMA side that you guys got into the disaster unemployment assistance, but I always like to bring that up because if you're a business owner, you know, typically you don't get to go to EDD and apply for benefits, and because of this disaster and this event, FEMA has allowed us to give you that ability to be able to go get disaster unemployment assistance. And there isn't a FEMA application in that one. We encourage you to apply for FEMA, but you can go directly to EDD's website, edd.ca.gov, and apply for that assistance directly.
Is that waived, the 1 week waiting?
And the 1 week waiting period has been waived.
And if we had applied late, will we be able to go back on EDD and get
I can't answer that. I can't, you know, call the 800 number and ask that question. I really don't know. So this brochure has all the numbers. Our state agencies that are present at the DRCs. Again, if you can't go into the Disaster Recovery Center, please pick up one of these and contact them in this manner. And let them know that, you know, you're a survivor, you know, from this event, and any fees that need to be waived will be. Okay, that's it, thank you.
Okay, our last presenter is going to be from FEMA registration, and it's Mickey Stolick.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mickey Stillwagon. I'm with the Disaster Survivor Assistance Program, and we provide registration to individuals, renters, and businesses. We can register you right now. We can register you in shelters. We have the capability to do it on site. For those of you that are here, how many haven't registered? Okay, so everybody here is registered, and that's wonderful because that's our first line of defense. So what I encourage everyone here, we have staff here today. Upstairs, there's an elevator through the doors to the left, and when we leave here today, we're going to have these tables set up. I encourage every one of you to come see us. We have the capability to register you, do inquiries and updates. And it's good to come check with us. We can open your case file, we can look in it, we can see if there's misinformation, missing information. We can tell you what you need to do. We can give you referrals. So we're a great resource. We have flyers that we'll be passing out that have the 800 number for those of you that may need to share it with someone. Please encourage everybody to register. They've talked about all the other programs, but I really encourage every one of you, before you leave here, to sit down with one of our assistants. And basically, that's our program. We're here to help each and every one of you the best we can on a personal basis. Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes the presentations from the team of representatives we have here today. So what I'd like to do is I would like to open it up to the audience to be able to ask any questions that you may have. Just so everybody knows, what we will do is when a question is asked, our presenters up here, if they have to present an answer, will repeat the question and we'll answer the question so that those that are online watching this can get a benefit of the information. So if we can, get a show of hands. Yes, sir. Yeah, the reason that we're doing it in Woodland right now is one of the things that we wanted to do is we recognized the challenge that we faced with so many people being displaced. We found that we got people displaced throughout multiple counties. So we're identifying pockets and bringing information to the people who have been displaced, that have had to move to other areas, so that we can assure that we're able to maximize the information, the dissemination of information and available resources. And with that, the County of Butte is definitely a county that we will continue to be pushing out information. So, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, summarize the question is, we need assistance for rental assistance, we have no job, we have no money, we're running out of the little money that we have, we need a place to stay, and we are not receiving the assistance that we need. Is that, that's a summary of the question. Okay, so, let me ask you this question, ma'am. Have you, your family, has you applied for FEMA?
Yes, we have.
Okay, and were you referred to the housing program?
Yes.
Okay, so when you refer to the housing program, due to the eligibility criteria, okay, if you're a rent, you say you were renters.
Yes.
Okay, so being renters and not being able to live your home, because if your home is uninhabitable, and the inspector goes, have you had an inspection? Let me ask that question.
The house is gone.
The house is gone. So being that the house is totally gone, okay, you are, if you meet the other eligibility criteria, and this is why it's very important the DSA could actually look at your cases directly, but on live, because I don't have it in front of me to be able to see what is the eligibility right now. But in a nutshell, if you are a renter and you do meet, and renter and owners, and you do meet the eligibility criteria, you should be eligible for rental assistance. There should be no problem with that.
Where can we get a house?
Okay, so that's another thing. There's no homes, if there's no homes adjacent, all right, close to where you need to live due to work or medical situations, okay? This is why, one of the reasons why our direct housing program is being built and is here to be able to help and assist people that, okay, you know what, there is no place to rent. There is no place to live right now. So we're trying to have different programs set up as what we have, as the same as we have the TSA, which is the Transitional Sheltering Assistance. This is the program where we have participating hotels and or corporate lodging areas, apartments, and even homes that if you're eligible, okay, and you qualify, you can actually stay there and FEMA would pay it until you do find a place to live and or the assistance runs out. It all depends. So we have rental assistance that could be and should be available. We have the TSA, which is the Transitional Sheltering Assistance. We have, okay, so there's no hotels in the area where you need to live. And this is something that it's always going to be, the word that I'm looking for is, it's challenging. It's always going to be challenging because I lived in this area was affected, I need to stay in this area. Sometimes we need to move a little bit towards some sort of you know, other areas where there is something available. To answer also your question, could we move out, I believe you said, or you mentioned something, could we go to a different state? There's many programs that, as long as the money is used for housing purposes and you are eligible, like TSA, for example, the hotel program, the sheltering program, you have people that are living out of state, in the different states, different areas, different places. As long as FEMA wants you to be housed, okay, we want you to be safe and secure. We sure do want that. And we'll do our best to help you, but we need to look at the case on one-on-one. I don't have right now the system in front of me to be able to talk about your specifics.
Okay, if there's more follow-up on that, we'll be available afterwards to cover specifics. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to the back.
The federal programs and the low-interest loan we offer are designed to get you to pre-disaster condition. Now, if we find that your insurance company, and one important point is you don't have to wait for your insurance company to fully settle. We can get you funds in advance, and if you later recover from your insurance for the same purposes, it can go to pay down the loan with us, many cases before you've even had to make any payments. I will mention there's a 12-month deferral because of the catastrophic nature of this disaster. Before the first payment is due on your loan with us, our headquarters and our leadership in Washington have extended the deferral period of the payment another 6 months to 12 months. You can use some of your own money to combine with we're going to estimate what your damages are. Your insurance may give you some of this money. We can loan you the difference that's not covered by insurance. And there may be code requirements that we can cover for, and there may be some mitigating efforts like putting a fire-safe roof or something like that on the home. But if you do expand the footprint or add another bedroom, you would have to we would have to see the injection of the money for that aspect. So we can loan you for the losses, but that doesn't stop you from changing the project a little bit.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, center aisle.
So the question that's being presented now is in relation to the hazard trees that are in the town of Paradise, or in that area. Speaking for the town of Paradise, because this is specific to that, the county has their operation for hazard trees as well. So PG&E has come along and taken down all the hazard trees that are in relation to their easements and property right access that they have for the power lines. What the town of Paradise is doing is going along essentially their easement or their property areas that they're allowed to take down the hazard trees, anything that would be in relation to roadways or city property where the tree could fall into that land. There may be times where that requires private property, but again, this is all part of the mitigation of making things safe. The same reason that we go and look for household hazardous waste to ensure that everything can be made safe. There may be trees that are removed from adjacent to roadways that are on private property or property that the town has access to. However, there also may be trees that are left on your property that are not a hazard, that we don't have the right or access to, that would need to be removed by insurance money or the rebuild and recovery process.
Okay, I'm not understanding. So if there's trees on my property that may be hazardous, are you checking them? Or is that up to me to get my own tree expert out there?
So I don't think we have anybody here to answer that specifically right now, but what we can do is afterwards we can coordinate to get the proper contact for that. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So to enroll in the debris removal program, you'll to be eligible for the debris removal program, her question is signing up for FEMA assistance enough, or is there a separate enrolling process? And the answer to that is yes, it's separate. What your county and the town of Paradise are working on that right of entry permit now to roll it out to you guys. They'll come with a lot of information that frequently asked questions, and that right of entry permit submitted to the county, to Butte County, is what enrolls you in the program.
And where will we get that?
The right of entry will be available on the ButteCountyRecovers.org once it is finalized. It's not currently there. And then there will be several public meetings geared specifically to debris where they'll be handing them out. So it'll be available online, it'll be available at environmental health. They're gonna publicize where you can pick one of those up if you don't have the ability to print it yourself. The consolidated debris program doesn't apply to still standing homes. There are other resources that I can get with you after on how to go about clearing that through your environmental health department or public health department. Debris? Yes? Is your question about debris? So the question is, do homeowners need to grant a right of entry for household hazardous waste, also known as phase 1, to take place? And the answer to that is no. Due to the local proclamation of a public health emergency, the two environmental agencies have the right with that proclamation to clear all the hazards that are posing a threat to the environment for people and animals. And then beyond that, the program removes remaining household hazardous waste and clears that down to an acceptable level for you to rebuild on. Debris question?
Yeah.
So the question is, what's the process for people to go and sift through their own items, and how does that roll into the debris program, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm not sure where the people that you're working with live, if it's one of the reentry or allowable areas that are currently open. The program does not sift for belongings. You as the homeowner have the right to safely sift ash. There's processes on that ButteCountyRecovers.org and the environmental health website for Butte County saying what protection equipment to wear, how to less disturb what's already contaminated. So that's not part of the program, but you have every right to be on your property prior to our program. So the question is how long is the process for debris removal? And that's something that we're all going to learn dealing with the 13,000+ home loss. But you will have plenty of opportunity to access your property prior to debris removal beginning. Our crews, I don't believe there's a prime contractor selected yet, so our crews won't even be mobilizing until January. And then at that point, just because you have signed a permit, that ROE for us to complete the work, doesn't mean that you as a homeowner no longer have any rights to that parcel. You will have an opportunity to do as you see fit prior to us coming onto your property, and you'll be notified before debris removal begins, and you'll have an opportunity to speak again at that point as well.
Wonderful.
The cost for debris removal, if you have insurance, there's no direct cost to the homeowner. It's all through insurance. If your insurance policy has a specific debris line item, or if it doesn't, there's a system of how to deal with that. And if you don't have insurance, the state takes care of it. Do you want more specifics from the insurance? Yes.
Yes. With regard to how debris removal fits into if you have insurance, there are a couple different generic kind of policies. If you have debris removal coverage that, let's say 5% in addition to your structural coverage and your other coverages, then the way the program will work is if it's the same as it worked in the past, and we're still waiting to see once that's finalized, we'll have a fact sheet out on our website, and we'll have talking points also given to Cal OES and Cal Recycle, so you'll have that information. But the past fires, the way it worked was if you had specific debris removal coverage, let's say 5% of your structure coverage, 5% of your other structure coverage, and 5% of your contents coverage, for example, that's all that will be allocated as paying back towards the debris removal program to the county. Even if the cost, let's say, is $100,000, but you only have $50,000 in those coverages, those 5%, you won't be responsible for the rest. If you don't have express debris removal coverage in your policy, let's say 5% as an example, and it comes out of your rebuilding costs, the way it worked in the past was the county would not seek funds from you until you've actually rebuilt and you have money left over in those coverages. So again, that's information from past fires. We're waiting to see how the final program is rolled out, and then we'll have some information more specific.
And when do you expect that information?
That information is going to be in the coming days. As we're going to be releasing in the coming days the debris removal program. So that is being finalized right now. And when that debris removal program gets released, we will be doing multiple community meetings in several different locations to bring that to you, where we'll be able to give you specifics on that program. And I think the key thing to take away from the question that was asked was that the program is because some people hear the program's free. Well, it's not free. However, you know, if you do have an insurance policy, and it does have a section of that policy that is earmarked for debris removal, the county would look to collect just that piece. So if it's 5% of your policy, that they would look to collect that. Anything above and beyond that, there's no out of pocket. So and more will come on that, and we'll be able to provide more specifics to make it more clear when the program is released.
Just real quick, as Ron mentioned, and Elise mentioned, the debris process is being finalized. But I want to stress too, besides the community meetings, we're also in the process of opening up a somewhat, I'm not sure it has a name yet, but a right of entry assistance center, so to speak, where we really encourage folks to come to that location and fill out the paperwork. That way, we make sure it's filled out correctly. You don't have to come back a second time. So we're gearing up right now, trying to find staff to help assist with that location. But once again, that'll be more information come out next week. But if possible, I'd encourage folks to go to that center to fill that paperwork out. That way, you know you have to take care of that day, and you're good.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm happy to look into that. We have liaison support where we're trying to work with all our cooperating agencies. So I'll certainly bring that issue up to the U.S. Post Office and see if there's any limitations on that. I don't have a specific answer, but I'll certainly take that concern to them. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So the question is, how do you recover your possessions if you're a renter for the debris removal program? So for the debris removal program, we do need that right of entry signed by the actual parcel or property owner. There is a section in there to signify renters' contact information. If you don't know the property owner, I don't know if that's something that the tax assessor has, or I'm not sure of the nuances of renting, but you would need to work through your property owner and have access. Okay.
So there's no access to the property owner. And the property management company is probably going to be out of business. We called them, there's no answer, we can't get through to them. So, you know.
Okay, I'm going to let you answer.
Tell you, I really want you to avail yourself of Nikki and her crew today because they can go everything. I can tell you from a personal possession standpoint, what you want to do is you want to make a list of everything that you lost. Be as detailed as you can. There is obviously, in other words, like stove, refrigerators, things like that. If you owned them, that's fine. If they were furnished with the house, just your personal possessions like bedroom outfits, that sort of thing. So make sure that you make that list and you bring it in and you submit it for consideration. As far as whether or not you're TSA eligible or whether or not you receive rental assistance, if you were evacuated, you probably have already received at least 1 month. If not, Nikki and her crew can tell you exactly what you received and whether or not something's in the system to be worked, whether or not you're TSA eligible, all those sort of questions that you may have. Nikki and her crew can help you after the meeting on that.
I was talking about specific
wanted to mention, if you're having problems contacting your property management, or you're having problems contacting the owner, right? With the FEMA disaster, there's disaster legal services that's available. FEMA, you can get together with them after this here and get the phone number, and be sure to contact them to see how you can get into the property to try to get any of your possessions, okay? So that is available to everybody. It's disaster legal services.
Okay, yes, sir? Okay, so basically how it works is, we can't duplicate benefits. So you're gonna have a section of your insurance policy that is earmarked for debris removal. So we can't come in and clean it, and that section that's left for debris removal, we can't duplicate benefits. So that piece of your insurance policy, and only that piece of your insurance policy that is earmarked for debris removal, will be remitted back to the county, that will go back to Cal Recycle, so that there is not a duplication of benefits.
How is that billed?
Talking service.
How is that billed to the insurance company? How, can I just do it?
And the question is, how is it billed to the insurance company? So if you go to your insurance company, and probably the better person to talk about this is our insurance representative, but if you get with your insurance company, they'll be able to tell you if you have a clause within your insurance policy that is dedicated to insurance. If you have one, then that is the piece that will be will seek to have reimbursed back. If you don't have one, if you don't have a specific piece of your insurance, and it's a balloon policy, generally what happens is the county will allow you to go through the whole rebuilding process. If there's any funds left in that balloon policy when the rebuild's done, then they'll seek to collect that. If there's none left, there's nothing to collect, and there would be nothing left to remit.
So does it work that way if you decide to buy instead of rebuild?
I'm sorry?
How would it work if you decide to buy instead of rebuild? Let's say the policy has $300,000 for replacement of the structure.
Okay, well, we're only gonna look for that piece of the policy that is for debris removal. We're not interested in looking at your rebuilding piece of your policy. Just that piece that is earmarked for debris removal.
So if I don't rebuild, I can use those funds to replace, buy.
Correct. Whatever you do with that insurance money, that's, we don't look at that. We just look at the piece for debris removal. And if it's a balloon policy and you rebuild, then we'll look at that, whatever's left when the rebuild's done. Yes, sir. Okay, so the question is, if a property owner chooses to rebuild on their own, do they have that option? And will there be a list of builders that are available? So with Cal Recycle, when they come in, there's going to be a prime contractor, and as I'm sure you guys can imagine from the sheer size and scope of this, they're going to be bringing in a lot of subcontractors and other workers in to do this work. So if you are looking to rebuild and you want to do it yourself, then you'll have the option when the right of entry comes out. You can either sign up for the program, which would require you to complete the right of entry, or you can choose to opt out of the program, which basically means that you are choosing to hire your own contractor to do your debris removal. So that is an option. It is something that others have done. Say you have in your insurance policy, you feel that you have enough that you can cover it, or you have the means to cover it. that's certainly an option and you can opt out of the program. The one thing that I know, and I don't want to speak for the county, but generally, you know, what will be required of that is, as part of that, is that the property be clean to the same standard that the county is requesting a cow recycle to bring the standard to.
Would you have to get a permit from the city for like debris removal, like a demolition permit or something? Is that required if you elect to do it yourself?
Hi. I'm actually with Callow, yes, so, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
work really closely with Cow Recycle. So the question is, can you repeat your question so I can?
So if you elect to do it yourself, you've got
Yes.
sufficient money in your insurance policy to cover it.
Yes,
You elect to do it yourself, do you have to get a demolition permit from the local agency to do that? Any local permits required?
yes, there are, okay, so the question is, if you have the means to clean up yourself and you choose to opt out, are the permits required by the county? And the answer to that is yes. In addition, simultaneously to the right of entry that's going to roll out, the town of Paradise and the Butte County are putting together an opt-out packet. It's got their directions, all the pieces that you need, another form to sign showing that you're gonna opt out of the program. I don't have the details on that packet, but it does exist and it will roll out with the right of entry
From the county?
from the county.
Question for the town of Paradise.
Yes, sir.
There's nobody from PID here.
I'm sorry, one more time?
There's nobody from PID, Paradise Irrigation District?
Not at this meeting, sir, I'm sorry about that. I can't specifically speak to that because that's not my organization. However, I can re-message what they spoke about at the city council meeting or town council meeting that occurred on Wednesday. While you have that meter, even if you use no water, you pay $20 a month. That's what they charge you. They will come out and remove the meter. However, if you need a new meter brought back after you rebuild, the cost is somewhere in the range of about $1,500 or so. Don't shoot the messenger. So, depending on your rebuild process, even if it were to take an extensive period of time, $20 a month may be something that you find more financially prudent than an actual reconnection fee. They will take care of the meter to ensure that it's not spewing water, obviously. All that is part of their rebuild and recovery of the system as we make the community safe for you to go back. However, if you choose to leave that, it'll be sealed up, turned off, leak protected, whatever, so you won't be paying for any water that isn't being used. You'll just simply be paying for a fee to have that meter on your property.
Can we disconnect? I mean, we're not gonna rebuild probably. Are they gonna charge us for that?
Okay, I don't think we have the right people in the room to answer some of those questions. So what I would like to do is we are gonna, after this, if you have specific questions for representatives from particular areas, we'll be happy to write down questions. We're gonna take those questions back with us to the town, to the different districts, towns, the county. So anything that can't be answered here, we'll take back to assure that we're given to the public information so we can get information out that may be asked in this forum. And as far as debris removal, I just want to assure everybody, we've given you guys some basic information about the program so far. More specifics are going to be coming out in the coming days, and you guys are going to have an opportunity to get into the specifics of the program. I think the message we wanted to send today is that the program is coming and that it has been approved, and that that as a survivor, as a member of the Butte County community who has been affected by this, if you've lost your home, that service is going to be available, and we will be releasing that in the coming days. So as far as debris removal, if there's anything specific, we'd be happy to take it after this forum when we meet. Is there any other questions? Okay, so the question is there assistance for those who lost their jobs due to the fire, for assistance.
Okay, so there's two things going on. So there is your regular unemployment and insurance, and then there's disaster unemployment assistance. The disaster unemployment assistance is primarily for business owners, but for those that have lost their jobs, you can just apply for regular unemployment assistance in regards, well, you can go to EDD's website, right? And they're waiving the 1 week period, and you let them know, that's usually, I believe there's a drop-down box, and you'll go ahead and pick the disaster name, and they will be able to process that in a timely manner for you.
What if you opt to move to a different state? Can you get, unemployment in a different state?
Can we get that under the disaster relief or any relief program?
So for disaster unemployment assistance, there's a probability. But for the California, I would definitely call the 800 number and ask that question, that specific question.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll take a couple more questions, and then we will take it into a forum where you can come down and meet with the representatives that are up here on the stage. Sir in the back?
Unfortunately, the question is, are septic tanks included in the debris removal program? And I don't remember that answer, but I will get it to you before we leave today.
Okay, one more question, sir?
Yeah, I wanted to know if a copy of this presentation is going to be available online or otherwise. And then thank you guys all for coming here and being here with us. And I really appreciate that, as many people do, I'm sure. So thank you.
Thank you. And I assure you, we're all honored and happy to be here on your behalf. Thank you.
But to answer the question, we have been Facebook Living. The signal cut out a couple times, so we had to restart it. So there's a good amount of this on the Yolo County Facebook page already, and we are attempting to capture raw videos so that we could put the whole thing on YouTube.
Okay, so Yolo County, just so we can get it out to those that may be viewing, this will be captured and this presentation and be transferred to YouTube for further viewing beyond the live. So with that, thank you everybody for being here. Like I said, we're happy to be here. We'll be coming down in a forum down with each of you to be able to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
One quick update. I know some folks asked earlier about the Monday, Wednesday press conferences. There's going to be a link on the Butte County website to that press conference, as well as it's streamed live on Butte County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. So those two are two resources. So every Monday, Wednesday at 6 p.m., Butte County Sheriff's Facebook page or Butte County Sheriff website.
Also, real quick, please come see us. There's people upstairs available right now. We'd like to talk to everybody. It'll take a few minutes for some people to get up here. Please make yourself available. We may be able to assist you with a lot of these problems.